Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you for subscribing, liking, sharing my videos. If you're new here, please like, share and subscribe to my channel so that YouTube can recommend me to a larger audience. Today I will be sharing my Japan story, how my husband said no, we are not traveling. So a little bit of context to a non-Nigerian audience. Japa is when you leave your home country to a foreign country in search of greener pastures. So first of all, I need to tell you guys, I did know Japa. If you have known me for a while, you know that has been my earnest desire to, school abroad because of the calling that I have on my life. And I knew I wanted to get like foreign exposure, but this delayed over time. If you go to my LinkedIn, you'll see how I shared my residence story. I'm not going to go into that details today, but I met my husband in 2019. If you want to watch how I met my husband, I'm going to drop the description. I'm going to drop the video in the description so you can have a look at that. I met my husband in 2019, and in 2020, mid 2024, before June, we started dating, and I told him that I wanted to travel abroad, and he said no. And that was like a red flag. Like, why does this guy not want me to travel abroad? Well, in 2020, I got an admission with partial scholarship, let's say 80% scholarship to study in Canada. And the day that I was to apply for my visa was the day they closed border. And in short, 2020 was a terrible year. Like, I was so angry with the world, angry with myself, angry with God. Despite the fact that I was grateful for life, I was scared about my life, but at the same time, I felt like, okay, my dream was very close to me and it was dashed. Like, coupled with the fact that I told my husband about the plans that, and then he was like, no. And then I was like in a dilemma, like, this guy that is not agreeing with my vision, with my plans for me, with my personal plan. Is he worth the journey? And it got me thinking for a while. So I was really angry that I couldn't apply for visa. I even had this friend then that were to apply at the same time. We're just keeping in touch with each other, like, have they opened the border? Have they opened the border? And then the school gave me the option of starting off in Nigeria and then continuing later when the borders have been opened. I looked at that choice, but at the time it wasn't too convenient for me because they wanted me to pay a particular amount of money that I did not know, that I did not know how to get. I'll explain that later. So that was still there, but in my spirit, I was still praying and hoping that I'll be able to travel. But so when I met my husband and we started getting close, I told him that, oh, I'm planning to travel abroad. Once the border have opened, I'll be able to apply for my visa. And at first, my suggestion was met with disappointment because at the time it was like, say, no, you're not traveling anywhere. I don't see myself traveling. And so it got me in a dilemma, and I was just thinking about it like, this is something that is very, very important to me, and this person is saying no to. What am I going to do? Do I just break up the relationship? Do I just focus on what is important to me and things like that? So I was really, really confused, but at the same time I was grateful for love. At least when other things were not working, because I was even writing an exam, I had to postpone it, and it taught me that if I had, written that exam in 2020, I would have, made much progress, but that was delayed. And so when he said no, I was like, okay, this I'm going to end my Japa plans. And previously, my previous relationship also ended because of this same issue. Like, the person was not in support of my travel plans, or he was in support at the beginning, and I thought that that was like a perfect duo for us. But he never made it look like, oh, I do not want to travel with you. I don't see myself traveling. So it was like, oh, I'm happy for you to go, blah blah blah. And it was later in the end, and maybe in the later years when I put one and two together, I realized that one of the reasons why that relationship did not last was because he wasn't interested in traveling abroad. And I've had other relationships. I've met a couple of people that once I mentioned that, oh, I would like to go do my master's abroad or do something abroad, they objected to it. And so meeting him and saying the same thing was like, but now you bring this man come now. Why is he also saying this? And I also worried, also confused. And then what happened is what I had to do was I had to focus on. He told me his reasons, and his reasons were genuine. At the time, had not instructed him to travel abroad. God had specifically God had specifically told him not to travel abroad. And so remember Amos 3:3 says, can two work together except they be agreed? It means for two people to work together, they have to agree on one thing. So it's either I compromise or he compromised. And it was almost clear that he was not going to compromise at that point. So what I did was to focus on what was important to me. And when I prayed in my spirit, I knew that God was actually leading me to, that God wanted me to go. But maybe the time was not right. I couldn't say, but I mean, I got scholarship, I got 80% scholarship. What else could be left? God had done this for me, and it was a prestigious school in Canada, so I was really excited. But I decided to focus on what was important to me, and what was important to me at that time, even though I wanted to go abroad, was to get settled. And in my spirit, I had this peace, despite the fact that this important aspect of my life was going to be on hold for a couple of years, even forever. I wasn't sure at the time, but I had peace in my spirit. I'm like, okay, it's not like I was even sure that I was going to be able to travel because we had all these restrictions. So I decided to say, okay, if you say we're not traveling, no problem. And then I accepted that. And I think it was about 2 years later that he said, oh, if you want to travel, I'm happy to go with you. I'm going to support you. And the day he mentioned that, that was the happiest day of my life. I was so excited. I was so relieved. I was so joyful in my spirit. I started applying again. And like the Bible says that when the time is right, the Lord, will make it happen. I saw the manifestation of that word because everything went so smoothly. In short, if I had applied for visa at the time that I wanted to, like in 2020, I would have gotten a rejection because I knew nothing about application for visas, how much you need to have in your account, kind of statement you need to make. It was over the years that I got exposed. I met new people. I read more, that I understood the process of immigration. And so maybe God was just preventing me from making mistakes because it would have been a disaster. But I learned a lot over the years, and I was so grateful that God made me to, wait for some time, because when the time came, it was so easy. The funds came, we didn't have to borrow. Everything was just coming in place. The admission, the visa, everything was just so small. And we knew that this was truly the hand of God. So the question is, should you continue with a relationship with a person who does not align with your purpose? So I would say purpose is a big word, but what I would say is, for most people would have negotiables and non-negotiables. And if it's a non-negotiable, and what is negotiable to you and what is non-negotiable to me might be different, depends on what stage of life you are in. So at that point, I would not say you should use my own yardstick to do whatever you want to do. You know yourself, you know what you want, you know the Spirit of God directed you. So you should obey what God tells you. I'd say if it's a non-negotiable, like something that you cannot do without, For example, someone is saying that I'd like a woman who would stay at home and watch the kids, and you are a career person, then if you look at the long run impact of that decision on your life, you can decide not to continue or express your concerns and see if there will be any compromise at any point. So focus on what is important to you at the time and listen to the voice of God. Also, I would say that in my own case, I had the option of doing an online MSc. The most important thing for me was to gain foreign exposure because I wanted to see the dynamics, how I wanted to infuse culture, travel exposure, a different learning environment and opportunity, because I wanted to expand my mind. That was the essence of my travel, and also because of my ultimate goal and purpose in the future. So, and I had the option of doing an online MSc if I really wanted to. So, it, though it was important to me, but I knew that I could still achieve my purpose without, going for it at the time. And I saw that that was just God telling me to pause for a while. So in the end, we were able to travel. So I would say that you need to listen to what God tells you at the time. Listen to what God tells you so that you can discern if a red flag is truly a red flag. Or if it's so glaring in the eye, like everybody can see it and say it, then please avoid it by all means. But in the end, what is important to you might not be important to me. So the choice is yours to make, to decide on what is best for you. God will help you. That's the end of my story. I hope this blessed you today. Have a good day.